very important update regarding Elon Musk's package, the 2018 CEO Performance Award at Tesla. Most of you will have been following along relatively closely. 2018, Tesla investors overwhelmingly vote in support of an entirely performance-based compensation package for Elon Musk with audacious, insane, ridiculous, dare I say, seemingly impossible milestones to be achieved, all of which were met. Tesla stock up more than 10 times. Everybody wins. Then an activist, masquerading as a judge, spits in the face of Tesla shareholders, robs Musk of his fairly earned compensation, destroys the reputation of Delaware as the place to incorporate companies in the United States. Then Tesla shareholders have another vote to essentially ratify the original 2018 compensation package, as in, you know what? We approved it then, we approve it now. Fuck off, Karen. But of course, Karens rarely take no for an answer, so after Tesla shareholders again told Karen to fuck off, Tesla had no choice but to take this to the Delaware Supreme Court, which is where this matter now rests. And as I said at the time, the fake judge, whose case just does not stand up to rational scrutiny, was so obviously ideologically motivated that the opening sentences, "Does the world's richest man even need more money?" That was essentially what she said. Now, first of all, he wasn't even close to the world's wealthiest man when this compensation package was put in place. Second of all, that has nothing to fuck to do with anything. She's just a left-hearted, dim-witted activist trying to score brownie points among her hypocritical social circle and colleagues who all know that billionaire bad, therefore let's go after the biggest billionaire because the biggest billionaire is the biggest bad, and if you get the biggest bad, you get a gold star. But I said at the time, this case, worse than flimsy, will go to the Supreme Court, and I do have enough faith in the higher levels of the justice system that this decision will get shit all over. Check this out. We'll start with this masterful, articulate, brilliant, calm, considered, measured, and ruthless, yet gentle, short clip of Tesla's attorney, respectfully, something I could never do, burying the utterly brain-dead, nonsensical, upside-down, irrational, idiotic case put forward by the plaintiffs. Is so good to watch.
Text of 54B, it says at any time before judgment, litigants all the time walk in and raise intervening circumstances. And you have curbs saying, as a matter of substance, as long as you have a non-coerced and fully informed vote, you can ratify. Now, to be sure, Curbs is 73 years old, but I think that's a good thing, which is to say this is a safety valve, not a floodgate. It will be a very rare case in which a derivative plaintiff successfully seeks relief that a majority of disinterested stockholders in a fully informed vote reject. But in the rare circumstance where that happens, it seems to me very important that stockholders be able to say, this idiosyncratic derivative plaintiff has managed to achieve relief that we do not believe is in the best interests of the company or of us as stockholders. And it seems to me preserving that safety valve under Delaware law is critically important so that stockholders have the ability to say what they want to happen for their company and for their own interests in the company. And so from our standpoint, it's really important that the court preserve the ability of the stockholders to say that. We think this is the system working. Stockholders had a fully informed vote, non-coerced. Some changed their mind. Some institutional investors like Vanguard that had opposed the 2018 plan then supported it in 2024. Others who had supported the 2018 plan changed their mind and they didn't support ratification in 2024. But overall, after that robust debate, you had almost exactly the same percentage, 72 as opposed to 73%, saying, we want to ratify and keep the 2018 plan in place. We want to move on. We do not want to take this massive accounting charge. And that's exactly what we should want stockholders to be doing as a matter of corporate democracy. We want them to engage in debates like that with full information to make a decision about their best interests. And we respectfully submit that Delaware courts ought to respect the result of that vote. Keep in mind, this is originally what Mr. Tornetta asked for. When he came to court, he said, you ought to put this up for another stockholder vote. And we ultimately pivoted away from that and went for the moonshot of rescission. But originally, even Mr. Tornetta said, look, put it to the stockholders with better information than what they had in the 2018 plan. Again, it's hard to imagine what would be a better informed vote than this one. They had the decision, they had a summary of the decision, they had the benefit of perfect hindsight about how Mr. Musk and the company had performed, what they would be paying him, and how their own stock had performed. It's impossible to imagine what else they could have known. And in the face of that full information, they took a free and fair vote about what they believed their own interests to be.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. There's a few things I'd like to note. first and foremost, as I said at the time of this case, I mean, I'm no expert, right? I'm just some idiot who makes videos on the interwebs, a midwit. Yet still, I could see at the time, the case brought against Tesla made no sense. The ruling made no sense. There was no precedent. It was illogical. It was obviously ideologically motivated. Again, in the decision, does the world's richest man automatically disqualified? Fuck off, Karen. You've lost your credibility. Unless the opening sentence from the fake judge, the activist pretending to be a judge, you've already lost. But what we just witnessed here was an extremely calm, measured assassination. The level of calm and confidence that was on display here. I mean, the body language, look at this. Just so measured. It is seriously worthy of study, a sight to behold, remarkable. This is what winning looks like. This is what knowing the arguments made from the other side don't stand up to scrutiny, make no sense, that you have an absolutely bulletproof, watertight defense. And just to be clear, in the background here, old mate, I think that's the official name of this guy. If not, too bad. That's what he'll be referred to henceforth. Old mate is listening in as Giga G, that's his new name, calmly destroys and dismantles the flimsy, weak, pathetic arguments brought forward. And as Giga G does so, old mate over here in the back of his mind may be thinking, oh shit, my share of that truly absurd $345 million in legal fees, which originally sought were $7 billion, utterly absurd. My share of that $345 million may be partially or entirely going down the drain. I do want you to understand, old mate here on screen, old mate, that's old mate. We're going to hear from old mate in a second. And old mate, who as we can see in the background here is carefully listening in. Any body language experts in the house? Old mate won a share of $345 million fee by leading the trial team that quote-unquote challenged the executive pay package at Tesla. Now, this guy's obviously a vulture. This case was absurd from the outset. A great possible money grab and a trophy. Go after Elon. Get Elon. Elon bad, billionaire bad, biggest billionaire bad. You got biggest billionaire bad. Oh my God, bro, nice. How much was your fee, bro? What, how much? I'm not saying that he cares about money or anything, but I am saying that if this doesn't go as planned, then good luck getting your full $345 million. But originally, these fuckfaces, vultures, were seeking nearly $7 billion. And I believe to be paid in Tesla stock, which is kind of ironic. So keep that in mind. This is old mate. Old mate in the background will certainly be eating well if he gets his slice of the $345 million fee they're seeking. And in fact, let's hear old mate now, having just watched Tesla's representation dismantle old mate's extremely weak and pathetic argument. While we watch this, I would just advise everybody who isn't a body language expert to pretend you are, and while you're pretending to be a body language expert, ask yourself, does this man seem at all defensive? By the way, Giga G is just down here. Worth paying attention to Giga G as well, body language experts or not. Check out his body language and demeanor as he listens to these weak and pathetic arguments. And just ask yourself, does old mate appear defensive, rattled, a little bit emotive? Does he really believe what he's saying? Do his points stand up to scrutiny? Does he exude confidence? Or is he panicking about having spent all this time circling around a multi-center $1 million fee that could go down the drain? Listen as much to the words as you do pay attention to the body language. Over to you, old mate.
Turning briefly to remedy, the trial court found that rescission was reasonable, appropriate, practicable, and uniquely available. Those are all direct quotes from page 198 of the opinion. There were no third-party interests involved here, and the court found as well that this court has held that rescission is the preferred remedy when a breach of the duty of loyalty is found, citing this court's venerable decision in Lynch against Vickers.
Mr. Varallo, number one, how is Mr. Musk put back to the status quo ante after 6 years of achieving what he was asked to achieve? And number two, do you have a case where a court has equitably rescinded an executive's compensation after years of work?
So, Your Honor, to answer your second question, first, yes, the case is Valiant versus Journey. It's the closest that our law comes.
That was not rescission, that was disgorgement.
Well, Your Honor, what the court said, and I will quote the court directly, and I'm quoting now from page 752 of Valiant versus Journey, found at 921A second. Because Journey, who is the defendant, has failed to show that this transaction was entirely fair, it is clear he has no right to retain any of the $3 million bonus he received. as between Journey and the company, that payment must be rescinded, period, close quote.
That was a case where a restructuring was aborted and bonuses were awarded to parent company management who would have no involvement in the company going forward. And the court said it was disgorgement. This is rescission, and the court found you didn't seek any other remedies. You abandoned your other remedies. And if you were to determine that rescission isn't appropriate here, aren't you left with nominal damages?
Your Honor, there are two answers to that question. First of all, I have to say that disgorgement and rescission are flip sides of the coin. In a circumstance.
Hello, officer. I'd like to report a murder. Now, there's plenty more where that came from. Highly recommend you guys watch the full video. I was looking at some of the commentary from the Dream Team over here. Shout out to Herbert, Alexandra. And they're two experts, but one needn't be an expert to see how poorly this went for old mate. By the way, I'll put a link in the description for the full stream that these guys did. Any body language experts in the house, I mean, if we had muted both of these arguments and just watched from Giga G and old mate, I think most people would probably err on the side of old mate not having a great day at the office. If I just skip forward, we'll note the demeanor, the volume, tone of voice, the animated body language, some of the very sharp gestures. This would be a great video if anybody wants to submit it to one of the body language analyzing experts on YouTube. When you say something stupid and you get called out, you know you're in trouble. When your gestures are this animated, that may just be your persona. But when it comes to presenting your case in front of the Supreme Court, you must be careful that you don't appear to be overcompensating for your weak hand with your very strong and firm hand gestures. It's worth emphasizing this. These arguments are being presented on a timer to the Supreme Court. Old mate has a captive audience. It is in his best interest to temper everything other than his actual articulation of the arguments themselves. Failure to do so is only going to serve to make his arguments look weak, himself to look defensive, and his position to be vulnerable. Even if you happen to be typically loud and animated and have a lot of very strong gestures, if that's your persona, this is the kind of thing that you would want to temper because it makes you look weak. You're in the Supreme Court presenting arguments. They can't change the channel. They can't skip to the next video. They can't put you on 2 times speed because you're boring and slow. They have to listen. The girlfriend's not about to walk in and sit on their lap. Their job is to listen to and analyze and scrutinize your arguments. You don't have to concern yourself with any of that stuff. And if you happen to naturally be more animated, more vocal, you have to tone that stuff down lest you look like you know you have a weak ass argument. So there's only 2 conclusions I can draw from this. Being an overly animated, loud, obnoxious guy on the interwebs who doesn't need to temper that because I'm not in front of the Supreme Court trying to present my arguments and they're not obliged to listen to me, therefore no fucks given. Either old mate knows he has extremely weak and pathetic arguments and is subconsciously trying to compensate for that, or he's so bad at his chosen profession that he's unaware that the communication, the non-verbal communication occurring while he's presenting his so-called arguments make him look pathetic and like he personally believes he doesn't have a leg to stand on. Says some guy on the internet who doesn't know anything. Don't listen to what I've got to say. That said, we won't know how this plays out for sure, but I've been saying from the outset, this case made no sense. The arguments made no sense. They were weak at best, pathetic at worst. So it's too early to call, but I will say this is about as well as it possibly could have gone for Tesla and about as bad as it possibly could have gone for old mate. I really do recommend, if you guys have got the time, if not, you should probably make some just to watch this whole thing. It's so fucking delicious. There's a bit of back and forth here. Old mate definitely not having a great day at the office. Of course, since I'm no body language expert, I can't know for sure whether or not old mate's a little bit concerned about losing out on his slice of this absurd fee. But as a mere midwit observer, it is my perception that old mate here deep down knows he has a pretty weak case to argue, and that's spilling out into the seeming desperation in